In the Court by Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov was a Russian playwright and a short story writer. He was also a novelist who wrote mostly about human nature and emotions. His essay In the Court is a satire of the Russian judiciary. Through this story, he tries to show us the Russian judiciary, how it was inefficient and how the trial was unfair. In the beginning, Anton Chekhov describes the court as a place that appears dismal, decrepit, devoid of any comfort. He says that even on the brightest day, it appears dark and shady, and in the moonlight, it appears as an oppressive mass of stone. It spoils the harmony of beautiful landscape outside. The writer finds it strange that the elegant lawyers who want their houses to be in order and perfect do not complain about the ambience of the court. They rather accept the wearing ventilation wheels, the disgusting smell of candles, and the dirty walls. We are told that the case began in a boring manner and ended quickly. It was so quick that the people present in the court could not form a complete picture of what was happening. Then the writer tells us about a peasant named Nikolai Harlamov, who has been accused of murdering his wife on the evening of 9th of June. He was a man of 55, completely bald with a hairy face. Her body was found in a porch with a skull broken. Her body was lying in a pool of blood and an axe was lying near her body. As the soldier was escorting the prisoner, he dropped his gun and knocked his knee. Seeing this, audience in the court started laughing. The writer further tells us about a prosecutor who was fat, well-nourished, dark man who was sitting motionless like a statue. He was reading Byron's Cain. He was more interested in reading Cain rather than paying attention to the trial. In other words, he showed no interest in the case. The presiding officer, the assistant prosecutor, the counsel for the defense, and all the officials of the court wore a monotonous look in their routine work. No one seemed to have any special interest in this particular case. Even though the accused noticed the weary faces of the jurymen, he was also affected by the monotony and boredom. He noticed the indifference towards him. He felt as though he was being judged not by living men but by a machine. There was no sympathy for him. They showed the same indifference to him as hospital attendants show at the sight of death. Then the witnesses were called to give their testimony. When Nikolai was asked whether he had murdered his wife, he denied. Even the witnesses said that he shared a good relationship with his wife and he never beat her. Nikolai claimed that he was wandering about the fields as he feared that he would be judged guilty. When the judge proceeded to examine the axe with which the old woman was murdered, the accused claimed that it was not his axe. Then he claimed that he did not have an axe, but it was lost by his son, Prohor, 2 years before Prohor joined the army. We realized that he was the same soldier who escorted Nikolai in the court. We also realized that during the whole or entire prosecution process, the officials seemed completely detached and do not express any emotions. All the possible witnesses have not been examined, such as the brother of the accused or the elders of the village. Thus, they just wanted to finish up the case. The doctor, it seems, did not investigate properly. He told the court only what he had remembered about the report. In conclusion, we can say that finally we do not know whether Nikolai had committed the murder of or his son Prohor. The question who was responsible for the crime is left to the readers to answer. We do feel sympathy for Nikolai Harlamov, who is completely helpless. Thus, through this essay, we learn that the Russian judiciary was inefficient and incompetent. This essay also reveals discrimination in the society because he was a poor peasant. The officials in the court did not take interest in his case. Had he been a rich person, they would have taken interest in the case. Now the likely questions are: do you agree that the trial described in the court by Anton Chekhov is fair? Second, why does the peasant feel helpless in the court? Then, explain the trial mentioned in the essay in the court by Anton Chekhov. And lastly, the essay in the court deals with the same theme of discrimination in the society. Explain.